So this is the arena. The motif is something which the viewer of this clip will not be able to see, which is the left side of the action cam, which I've attached to lens goggles worn over my glasses. So the action cam is in front of my face.
I might have noticed, but can now point out, that the vacuum cleaner here on the left of the drawing, and certainly on the video screen, is very peripheral to my vision.
I'm seeing
There's a reason concerning vision, however,
on the left side,
why I didn't notice this object.
But
this is perhaps to be investigated in a forthcoming drawing.
The view I have of this sheet of paper,
what I'm calling paper is actually white laminated cardboard.
Disturbed by the vertical of the side of the action cam. And besides that, I can see a knot of...
Here to the right, peripherally, is a camera tripod, and further back, even a glimpse of a bicycle.
Of brown elastic.
What I'm referencing as brown elastic
is
what's holding the action cam to the lens goggles.
This is a metaphor, in a sense, for my perception. This, the vertical of the action cam, which I can see but you can't. So in a sense, what I'm saying, it's a metaphor insofar as perception as a biological, sort of internal biological condition affects how I observe, how I see, how I observe.
Physiological, I should say, which is the relatively internal condition of perception compared to its purpose, which is observation and to observe.
So what I'm looking at here is this spill of paint, which I'm saying is coming into the drawing board, onto the paper here. So this here is the width of between the drawing board and the edge of the paper. Something else that I see and the observer can see is my hand drawing. So this, I can say, is also a motif which I can't ignore. I mean, it affects how I look at the paper, how I look at the drawing, and it, in a sense, disturbs the drawing because it's often over the top. So here I'm tracing down the underside of my hand. And of course, if I pull the line while moving my hand, I'm moving. So now, at this point, I'm looking at the other side of this vertical of the action cam.
I hadn't noticed at all
the shadow being cast on
the cardboard from the ceiling lights.
And I can see both sides of it equally. And it has a narrow width. And if I draw around that width, from the distance I'm at present from the paper, it works out.
When I refer to narrow width, this is the result of the optical refraction of the rectangle of the action cam. Each side, in effect, implodes, leaving a narrow dimension that I can see quite clearly.
On the camera. So this here, this is the edge of the knot, and that is sort of projecting me across. I can go across to the other side. This here is the edge of the paper. But if I look across from the paper, so imagine that the paper's here, I can see the foot of the tripod of the tripod. So this is moving this point of the drawing board, the edge of the drawing board is moving it in further into the drawing. I can say that this point here is the edge of the drawing board.
The quantum physicist David Bohm, in the chapter Physics and Perception from his book The Special Theory of Relativity, 1965, explains that one's tendency of visual perception is to pick up on points, edges and contrasts, which get synthesized into what he calls, quote, relative invariance.
So that would place the corner of the paper down here. If I take this as a measure, so proportionally the edge of the drawing paper is now here, and I could pick up the blue of the paint, which runs along the top, all the way along the top. So if on the video the viewer can't at the moment see
Here I'm following the straight edge of the top of the cardboard and did not at the time notice a similar extent of curvature created by the camera lens.
Okay, this is the left corner up here, coming down here. Now, if I can notice my left eye dominance, which means in effect that I feel as though I'm looking through my left eye, constantly through my left eye, although the right eye works just as well. So if I acknowledge that kind of intellectually, I'm working with a sense of the drawing coming in from the left and moving to the right. So I kind of like this word usher. So the drawing ushers in from the left and curtails to the right. Although of course I can also draw in from the right. It just doesn't feel quite so comfortable, doesn't feel quite so intuitive always for me to draw in from the right. And I imagine, due to the left eye dominance. So there's a feeling, the biological conditions translate into a certain feeling of relative comfort from while drawing from the left and less comfort while drawing from the right. So I'm looking now at my hand, drawing my hand. But of course I'm rendering the image as still, whereas in actual fact it cannot but move all the time. So this is the top end of the pencil, the end of the pencil. And the line across my knuckle. So this point here, this curve here, was initially here. It's moved in. And this is my thumb. and the pencil, end of the pencil is now moved to here. So this displaced repetition of aspects of the contour, the outline of my hand and the form of my hand.
Regarding the point about my constantly moving hand and the repetition of its shapes, this touches on a term of the philosopher Henri Bergson from his book Matter and Memory, first published in 1912, where he refers to the, quote, present image, unquote, the image caught in passing, which can only be of a very cursory nature.
And here, I'm now looking at the lower edge of the drawing board, coming across. And here,
to be precise, I'm not referring to aspects of peripheral vision peripherally. I'm referring to them through focused central vision, further focused by my attention mostly to the pencil's point. But it may be argued that peripheral may be displaced into the lack of dominant centre to the drawing. If anything, I'm tending to reference what exists on the peripheral, or what I've called the drawing arena.
I can feel pain in the neck.
The neck pain was very real, part of my bodily interaction in a sense, induced by an aspect of the drawing, but also part of what I might term the greater environment of the drawing activity.
The leg disappears behind the drawing board, so we'll leave that. I'm drawn again to the edge of the action cam. And I'm following the action cam all the way up, all the way up, all the way up to the top edge of the paper and the blue of the paint. If I follow it down again, I'm down to the base of the drawing. If I look at across here, and back to my left hand, which I can feel the fingers on the page. And I can use them to...
This use of touch concerns current reading of the architect and theorist Juhani Pallasmaa's The Eyes of the Skin, the edition first published in 2012, where he discusses the influence of the haptic sense on visual observation,
and this is
the sense that when we look at things, we're responding to what we know and sense of tactile characteristics.
And I can index. I'm assuming that whenever I draw around the object to any extent, I'm indexing it on the page, on the drawing. If I push up like this, the contact makes a sound, which is something I really haven't considered using.
This I think I would not have done if I hadn't been reading the Palasma book.
And I'm back to the right edge of the paper, but I'm looking at the stain.
Bohm makes similar points to Palasma, but from a more scientific perspective.
Goes up. And back again to this horizontal stain. And back again to the edge of the paper. So this is now the edge of the paper. And to the right of a narrow band of the action cam, so much as I can see of it, I can see the knuckle of my thumb, this area of my thumb, and I can see my finger in contact with it. And my finger in contact with it is very red. And back again to the line of the red of the pencil, the shaft of the red of the pencil.
I should perhaps have said the red of the shaft of the pencil, rather than the shaft of the red.
And the blue, where it crossed. I say where it crossed in the past because it's quite difficult to actually put it back. It feels quite artificial to hold it back in place. But at the moment, I'm using the line of the red of the pencil to follow the right edge of the shaft of the blue. While I'm doing this, I'm guessing that the black pencil has made a line on the page, since I was holding it firmly against the paper.
The awkwardness of my spoken language, which is often inevitable at the level of speech over this first drawing, is in a sense an auditory equivalent of the drawing itself. There's an implicit awkwardness which may or may not integrate or be of interest to one in the making of a drawing.
Forefinger. And across here is the edge of the action cam very palely, and then here more strongly, and here more strongly too, and tinged with red.
The microphone is picking up ambient sound of passing traffic from the road nearby, just as there will occasionally be sounds of barking dogs and another human voice in the background. These are things that I either notice or unconsciously integrate in my general experience of the environment.
Looking now at the thickness of the action cam. So this is the action cam. If I had ink, if I'd prepared ink, I'd have stained this, because it's a form. It appears to me
Since I'm referring here to the need of another
I
medium,
look up
I
like
might
this.
also point out that the pencils I'm
Okay,
using are for drawing on plastic or
action,
glass,
the
and unlike,
form of the
say,
action
charcoal, can be erased from
narrow
this
band.
laminated cardboard completely, if necessary.
It's cutting through crossing the edge of the drawing paper against the blue stain here. So here I'm showing you. And in the process of showing you, could I say that I'm indexing the act of showing you the place, because this is something. It's an element on the drawing.
The question of index is like evidence of trace. After the event, it's often completely abstract.
Just following the line of the action cam down. Okay, at this point, I have the blue pencil here, and I have the red pencil here. And it's gone. There's no point in drawing it. I wanted to draw around it, but in picking it up to use the red, I've moved it, so there's no point in trying to place it down here. It's gone. However, here I'm looking at this, what I can see of my second finger, my index finger. I think it is. And so now I'm drawing with both my right and my left hand. This is my third finger. And the third finger has some shadow. And has moved its position. And the blue pencil is indexing the movement. So I'm pressing it against the page. Now I'm drawing the red of the shaft of the pencil, but the black pencil and the blue is indexing the movement. And I'm back now to nearing the edge of the drawing paper. If I come around here, the edge of the drawing paper is now about here. But it's white on white, you can hardly see. Looking back again at my first finger and the contour of the thumb. And the red of the pencil shaft, where it meets the black. And the black of the pencil shaft indexed with the red. This is what I imagine I'm doing. Whether this is the right terminology, the right description, I don't know, but what I'm attending to, what I feel I'm attending to, which is the black of the pencil, is different somehow to the red pencil which is pushing it. So the red pencil that's pushing it is, in a sense, indexing the push. This is how I kind of intellectualize it, conceptualize it. Looking now at the line of the knot, which is very indistinct. It's very blurred. This is very blurred. And the smudging makes a noise. And the noise of my finger on the page, even my coughing, as well, of course, as what I can see, what I can represent, and what I can index, is all to do with embodiment, I should think. Which is engaging more than one sense. Back to the top edge of the drawing paper. And back to the corner here of the drawing paper. So actually this stain here is brown. And comes down. Except that I've indexed it in blue. But I can go back.
Observing myself, listening to myself, I get the feeling that I'm trying to do something, and to do that something accurately and speak clearly about it.
And I'm copying
given that there's an implicit awkwardness and lack of determination. So the result is, in a sense, an expression of indeterminacy.
Although it's not so bright, of course. I can tone it down, although at the same time darkening it to an extent. And back to the edge of the pin, and back to the stain, and here optically the line sort of jumps. I don't know why. Somehow or other, from what I can see through the lens goggles, the line breaks and jumps up.
This is like what's happened with the action cam, another example of refraction and distortion.
The point where this happens is where the line, the faint blurred line of the action cam intersects. And I'm going to stop there.